use protection for your own good, not necessarily because of pregnancy, but because there are STIs and so many people are getting sick out here. There's HIV going around, there's so much going around, and trust me, that is an experience you don't want to go through, because in as much as you may feel, oh, there's really nothing into it and stuff, that 2 minutes of fame is gonna cost you for the rest of your life. So be careful out there, and always insist on using protection. That is, if you're sexually active, always insist on using protection. Let him keep his stuff to himself. You have no business getting pregnant for anyone at an early age. In fact, you have no business getting pregnant for anyone who you feel is not going to be responsible enough as a father, and who's not going to, take care of you and the baby. So the other thing is, once, this is like for those who are there now, I had this advice pretty late, I did this and that, so now I'm here, I'm pregnant, what am I gonna do? Well, it has happened. You have to put on your big girl panties on and figure out what next, because pretty much your life depends on you. So you can choose to be sorry, feel sorry for yourself for the rest of your life, hate this kid and stuff. But then you can choose to own it and say, yes, I did this, and now I'm pregnant. Now I have to plan and know what's next for this baby. Anyway, so that's something we'll talk more deeply into, because it's a whole wide topic and I can go on and on and on about it. So the other thing is, when you're having whatever relationships you want to have with these guys, whether you're just casual friends, friends with benefits, whatever it is you call it, you need to understand where exactly this guy's mind is at and where your mind is at. There are so many girls who end up attaching themselves to guys who are really not interested in them. This guy is simply having fun with you, and you're wasting your time and energy on him. You want to be everything to him, and yet he does not see you the same way. So you have to be careful. You have to think about it. You have to look into it. You have to find out. Ask him, yo, where do you see this going? Because most guys don't even have an answer for that. He's using you to pass time, and eventually once he's done with you, he'll move on to the next person. So you have to be sober-minded when you're dealing with these guys. And trust me, there is no rush in losing your virginity. There is no rush in having kids. There is no rush in being in a relationship. There's no pressure, for real, because it's your life at the end of it all. And there is no award. Those who are, I've not heard of ones where they say everyone who's in a relationship is getting PS5 for Christmas and stuff. No. And your relationships can never be the same. So in as much as you might have friends who are in relationships and everything is working for them, and there's that pressure on you and you feel like, yo, why isn't it working out for me? Everyone with their own timing. So, and you never know what goes on in people's relationships. They may be looking perfect outside, and this is for me and my ex, that is. You'd see us outside and see these calm people and everything is working out fine, but behind closed doors, I was that person who was always hurt, always crying. I experienced the height of disrespect. I experienced everything to a point where I got really unstable. I sank into depression. I was not myself. I was now just lost. And instead of this particular person taking care of me or feeling like, okay, now I need to just stop hurting this person, and he went as far as saying a lot of trash now about my mental health and stuff, and it's really pathetic. Anyway, like I said, that's going to be a whole other topic. But I don't know why I find myself drifting into it. Perhaps that's like because it's my experience. I like talking about stuff from what I have gone through, and because I have a clearer understanding of what it felt like. So, the other thing is, anytime you feel as though it's too hard, or whatever it is you're experiencing in your relationships is hard, find a confidant, find someone you can talk to, someone who listens, someone who advises you well, someone who is understanding. Because I know of a friend who got pregnant for a guy, and instead of this guy, ideally, from what I understood, was he didn't want anything to do with this kid, and he did everything from frustrating her to making life difficult for her. And unfortunately, my friend lost her baby. And instead of this guy, you'd expect, like, okay, we were this far along in the pregnancy, we need time to heal, we need this. Immediately, this guy is trying to be like, yo, can we have sex tonight? This is someone who is from hospital and who has just been cleaned up and stuff. And eventually he has his way. But then it's pathetic, because in as much as we as half friends, we sat down, we talked about different things, and we expected that things would change, because clearly she was with a narcissist. And the guy pretty much didn't care, kept frustrating her. He keeps her in the house. She's not going to school. She's not doing anything with her life. He is not interested in having her going to school. She is at a point where her parents want nothing to do with her because of how she's acting and stuff. And I sat my friend down and I told her, look here, I've been there. I've gone through everything like you are. And okay, except except some things, but I have been with a narcissist. I have been at a point where I have no one to talk to. I have been at a point where I am detached from the world. I have been at a point where I'm practically not going to school because of how much damage this guy has done, and how much of my personality I have lost in trying to be quote unquote good enough for this particular person. So I thought she would listen, but then it's not everyone you can advise. The most you can do is say, the most you can do is talk, and the rest is up to them. So anyway, so you're here, you got pregnant for a guy, and then I'm like, one of my best friends mentioned something while we were just talking about it and trying to, get some of our opinions into our friend. And she said, what were you doing? And someone mentions, I had to go for steaming. I was doing my steaming, vaginal steaming. I was doing this, I don't know, I went for vaginal tightening and stuff. And we are like, why in the world are you doing these things? In fact, wait, is he even paying for them? No. So why in the world are you still doing these things for this guy? Like, you're doing so much so that this boy child can have the time of his life. He can have his show. He can do this. But yet you're staying in a house. It's not even a house. You are pregnant. You're here. You cannot even afford your own, sanitary towels and stuff. Ever since your parents just wash their hands, you cannot do anything for yourself. But then you were getting pregnant for a guy. How in the world were you supposed to get your diapers? Where in the world were you supposed to get your stuff, ideally, like if you're to take care of a kid? And looking at where you guys are, you're staying in a tiny room, the two of you. Already you're struggling with your rent. So how do you intend to make it work? So, but there's the most you can do. There's really that much you can do for someone. So at the end of it all, in as much as I am still concerned, I'm still worried, the moment you as a friend turn into a villain, you just let go and let that person sober up. And that's exactly what my best friend did to me when I was making all the wrong decisions in my life. And I was never seeing things as they were. I was sort of blinded or something, but then I'll talk about that later. But I thank God because I later came to understand what was happening, and I had an amazing doctor, I had an amazing psychiatrist, I had an amazing psychologist. Actually, I saw a few, because by the time I was done with this guy, I was broken, literally shattered into pieces, and it took quite a lot of work to get me back together. Anyway, so my own advice when it comes to relationships is there is no hurry to settle. There is no hurry to have kids. There is nothing you're rushing to, like, for real. So just take your time, get to know someone, get to understand someone, know exactly what both of you want from whatever it is you guys intend to have before you go ahead. And anytime you feel like it's too much, it's okay to walk away. It's okay to take a break. It's okay to just say enough is enough. And the one thing I'll always advise ladies out there is never compromise yourself or what you stand for any guy. It's not worth it. It is not worth it. Never compromise what you stand for. Don't be like, okay, so I really like this guy and I can't let him go, so I'm just gonna do things his way. No. You're young, you're doing your own things, you have no business being anyone's wife. Enjoy your best boob and ass years. I will borrow my friend's words. So yeah, go out there, have fun, be careful. There's no rush. If you are still holding on to your virginity, by all means, you have my blessings. Hold it. There is no rush. There is no reward for losing it. There's nothing you gain. If you're sexually active, always use protection. Always use protection. If you're not going to use protection, then make sure you know your health status. For both of you, make sure you know. And just be careful. Be careful. The other thing is, if you're a mom out there, or a big elder sister, or a cousin, or someone, take your time. Take your time and advise someone, because your experience might help someone learn one or two things, or might protect someone from going through one or two things. And if someone comes to you with a problem and says, yo, this has happened and stuff, don't be quick to judge. Don't be quick to bash them. Don't be quick to condemn. The person came to you for a reason. And the best you can do is absorb the information, whatever information it is, and then advise accordingly. If you're not in a position to advise, then refer them to someone who can. Refer them to someone who can. Then the other thing is, as girls, we need to always learn to be for each other and not against each other. The moment you're in a relationship and some girl comes up or your guy is cheating on you, I always tell people, you have no business whatsoever confronting the other girl. because clearly your man is a problem.